Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode 92. We're in the book of John. Today's going to be about everybody loves Palm Sunday. So we're going to learn about the triumphal entry and what makes it triumphal. Jesus is celebrated on this day, at this moment, recognized as a king, not the real king. He's the Palm Sunday king. He's the flannel graph king, and everybody loves the Palm Sunday Jesus. He's popular, he's universal, he's politically powerful, but the real Jesus is going to be revealed later, sacrificial, substitutionary, and spiritual. They only could figure it out with their memory. We'll get to that. All right, so Jesus heads to Jerusalem. He's basically in Jerusalem for the what we call the Great Week. This is the Sunday of the first of the Sunday of the Great Week. The end of the Sunday of the Great Week is the resurrection. So a lot is going to happen to Jesus in the next 7 days. Read with me from the Gospel of John. I'm in chapter 12 and verse number 12. And we're going to hear about this triumphal entry. Verse 12. The next day, a large crowd that had come to the feast heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem. So, kind of, why are we here? Well, this is on a Sunday. This is Palm Sunday. People are coming into the feast. What feast is that? That's Passover. Maybe even 1 million people in Jerusalem. We don't know. It's oodles. Verse 13. So they took branches of palm trees and went out to meet him, crying out, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, even the King of Israel. And Jesus found a young donkey and sat on it, just as it is written. Verse 15, he's going to quote now from Zechariah chapter 9. Fear not, O daughter Zion. Behold, your king is coming, sitting on a donkey's colt. So we got this kingly stuff. We just finished a presidential cycle here in America, and similarly, there's all kinds of markers of power in this verse. Number one is transportation. So you've come on a donkey's colt, and I know it sounds strange, but a donkey's colt is a scriptural, prophetic recognition of a king. So he's got priestly and presidential transportation. They're starting to wave branches, which is the palm frond is as a national symbol of Israel. It's as if in America we wave, bald eagles or Uncle Sam's or the stars and stripes, symbols of our country. He's already riding in a presidential limo. He gets all these symbols now, and then he gets kingly words. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States. So he's getting these prophecies from before, and these new proclamations is now he's so-called king. But here's the problem. You know how in an election cycle, how people impose their ideas and ideals on a human candidate, and then as time goes on, they're often disappointed when the candidate actually reveals his true self. Similarly, the disciples take a while to figure out who Jesus is. See, they're not disappointed, just the opposite. Verse 16, his disciples did not understand these things at first. But when Jesus was glorified, that means when it's all over, when he was, crucified and had resurrection, then they remembered these things had been written about him and had been done to him. So they figure it out, but a long time later. So why are we here? People are coming to the Passover. Oodles of people are here. Crowds are here. And Lazarus, the crowd that had been with him when he called Lazarus out of the tomb and raised him from the dead, continued to bear witness. So they had seen it themselves. Verse 18. The reason why the crowd went to meet him was that they had heard that he had done this sign. That is the sign of Lazarus. It certainly gets your attention. Then verse 19. So the Pharisees said to one another, you see that you are gaining nothing. Look, the world has gone after him. Well, it seemed like it. The whole world goes after the Palm Sunday Jesus. This God of my own invention, this preference God, this convenient God. And when he finally reveals himself, what a real king does, he's going to be abandoned and betrayed and mocked and kinged. All right, so they like what he's done previously. They like kind of the whole Lazarus story. And people are wrestling with this issue, which is, and people wrestle with it today, is, are you my kind of king? These people are kind of quoting scripture, maybe even a little misquoting scripture. They're asking Jesus to be successful and blessed and connected, kind of this king of their own making, maybe a military and political anti-Roman successor. Now, to their credit, no one has ever seen what Jesus did. So Jesus is going to rock their world, and he continues to rock our world today as we consider who he really is and what he's really done. So he's redefining kingship to serve and sacrifice and be a perfect example, to substitute himself and lead by the deeds that he does. And even though Jesus had plainly told everybody he was going to go to Jerusalem, going to be crucified, they kind of didn't believe it or didn't want to believe it. So Jesus is indeed king. They're right about that, but they're kind of wrong about the who Jesus is. They had to figure it out by remembering. Verse 16, his disciples did not understand these things at first, but when Jesus was glorified, then they remembered these things had been written about him and done to him. So they remembered the Old Testament. They remembered all things that he did. So people figured out what kind of a king was by remembering. So are you my kind of king is a big issue for today. So far, so good. At least the people think so. You seem to be this wonderful king in my mind. Everybody loves the Palm Sunday king. Crowd, success, power, symbols. His support is a mile wide, but it's only an inch deep. When it comes to understanding and experiencing and receiving what Jesus really means as king, serving, sacrificing, substituting himself, leading by deed. When they encountered that, at least the first time, they abandoned him. Worse, they condemned him. Worse, they ganged up on him and crucified him. All right, so here we are in the Palm Sunday Jesus. I can image this as the flannel graph Jesus. This very superficial, one-dimensional, two-dimensional Jesus. And he's celebrated and sung about. The whole idea is my sin that bad? I'm not okay with God. Wait, I stand condemned already? That's an understanding that I will reject hard in the next couple days if I'm one of these Jerusalem welcoming people, because the real Jesus is crucified in a week. So the most important event in human history is exactly 7 days away. In the meantime, Jesus has so much to teach, so much love to give, and so much to serve. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the great week. Thanks for listening.